What's up, everybody? Shawn here with another Live to Roll. Hanging out with you this Tuesday. Going to be talking about some skincare, pressure sore, stuff like that, managing your skin. So please, if you have any comments or questions or anything like that, please drop them in the chat. And sorry about being a little bit late. I got logged out of the program and had to reset and do a bunch of stuff and had these guys sitting here waiting on me too. So my bad, everybody. And thanks for hanging out and being here with us today. So, yeah, I'm Shawn. I'm a C5, C6 quadriplegic from a snowboarding accident 21 years ago. Bobby, you want to go ahead? Tom can
Sure, why
close
not?
us out.
Yeah, Bobby here, C5, C6, same as Shawn, and 35 years post injury. This month will be 36, I think. And yeah, living here in Southern California. Enough about me. Let's move it to someone way prettier than I am, Tom.
Don't ever sell yourself short like that, Bobby. It's not true. Plus, I'm catching up in the aging anyway. So, what's up, everybody? I'm Tom, C6B quadriplegic, 27 years post. What up, Mr. Wheels? What up, Albie? What up, Jay? Chris? We got the rest of the fam in the chat. Hope everyone's doing well. And yeah, I don't have any skin issues. I've never had any skin issues. I don't know what I can contribute to this conversation, but I'm here. No, I'm just kidding about that.
I was gonna say you can contribute on how to make not have any skin issues because that's the point. Prevention is the point. Obviously, if you get a sore, we want to try to talk to if it's important to take care of it and manage it well. But the most
Well,
important thing is prevention.
you can say, maybe not on your rear end, but I think you've had a sore like because of your armrest, uh, if I'm not mistaken, Tom, or on your elbow
Yeah,
or something.
yeah. No, I've actually had like small ones all over the place. I've had like blisters on my butt before, if not like a
Mm.
full on sore. I got a pressure sore on my foot one time from having like the heel of my foot folded underneath like the bottom. The heel of my shoe was folded under the bottom of my heel of my foot for like 8 or 9 hours, and that gave me a nice blister from pressure. And yeah, my tricky spot is my elbows. I don't really have a lot of meat there, a lot of support. It's just like skin on bone. And I'm a quadriplegic, so I use my elbows a lot to support my trunk. And because of that, I'm kind of constantly leaning on them. So yeah.
Yeah. It's funny because, skin issues can come in all different ways. It can be a burn, it can be, from a pimple. I've heard of people having a pimple, and I had one on my butt once. And, you know, luckily it didn't get out of control or anything, but it was kind of scary, that it's, something you have to watch, like you said, the feet, skin issues where people don't realize they can get skin issues for on their feet is, yeah, shoes, socks. Uh, I'm always wrecking my toes because I open everything up with like heavy doors with my feet in my wheelchair. And then the pool with your feet, swimming in a swimming pool that when your feet are dragging on that bottom is like sandpaper.
Yeah, I've talked to a few people that have had that issue that scrape their feet, and that's what my first kind of pressure sore-ish thing I got some years back was because I actually scraped my butt, and I had like a minor scrape, but then my dumbass still went water skiing at Land Meet Sea for the day, got in salt water, was sitting in wet shorts all day, and then that developed into like an open wound that I had to take care of. And luckily, I was able to manage it pretty well, and it was gone within a few weeks. But yeah, that's like just scrapes, abrasions, pimple, anything like that is make sure to watch and keep track of and take care of.
Just to give a little frame of reference to get us started here, it's one of the more common causes of death for quadriplegics and other spinal cord injured individuals is pressure sores that leads to blood poisoning and sepsis that can develop really, really quick. Pressure wounds can develop a lot faster than people realize or anticipate. Just 20 minutes is all you need of serious pressure to start to see skin breakdown and cellular damage as a result. Just 20 minutes. If you multiply that by 5 or 6 times by sitting on something for a couple hours with pressure enough to do damage to your tissue, that is the more serious stuff that we're talking about. But it can just happen a lot faster than anybody realizes. Shawn brings up a really great point in that something small can develop and turn into a wound. So if you have a skin breakdown, a blister, a scratch, or something in a troubled area like your bottom or like the bottom of your feet or somewhere where you're constantly pushing and applying pressure, it can very easily develop into something that is way more serious than the superficial thing that it began as. Um, that is why you must maintain vigilance and be very, very aware of your skin. If you have anything going on in a tricky area like your bottom or bottom of your foot or, like elbow or something, track the progress of the wound. Take a picture every day of it, if not multiple times a day. I usually take one in the morning and one at night just so I can, track the progress of the wound as closely as possible. If you even are worried that it's a more serious wound, contact your doctor, contact, get help from a nursing agency, a wound care specialist,
Yep.
someone that can come in and track it and maintain it and do all the things that I just talked about.
Yeah.
And I
You
was
know,
gonna
let
mention,
let go ahead,
I
Sean.
was gonna real quick mention to Mickey was in the chat when we first started. If Mickey is still in the chat, she's been at home with a pressure sore, using wound vac, having to have surgery, and like a lot of different issues with that. So if you want to put anything in the chat, Mickey, I know you weren't really up for doing the show and stuff, but if you wanted to drop any info in there that you're dealing with or anything, we'd love to hear that too. Go ahead,
Yeah.
Bobby. Sorry, I was just gonna mention that too.
No, no, that's very important. Yeah, Mickey, we love you, and she's part of our team, and definitely would like to get her input because she's going through something really scary right now. But Albie asked, and we can start here. Do you eat healthy or work out or anything? So thinking about it, eating healthy, yeah, and being healthy is a good start for your skin. We want to, first cut out, one, if you're a smoker, you're already damaging your skin and making your skin integrity weaker. And then, yeah, eating healthy is going to, help with, feeling good, being active, and then exercise can never hurt. But on the flip side of exercising, something that, we have to think about is there's some movements and exercise, especially with cardio, or just going there and doing the weights. It puts a lot of pressure on you. So shearing and pressure. So I don't even think we even started there. What kind of sores can you get? One is pressure, and then the other one is shearing. Shearing is the rubbing of
Friction, baby.
what's that?
I said friction, baby. Friction.
Friction. Exactly. When, your bottom is rubbing on something else. And so when we're going back and forth, obviously you're going to get that shearing. So you got to be careful when it comes to working out. But to answer your question, yeah, I do try to eat, healthy. I'm not saying I'm the best, I'm not a vegetarian or a vegan but I do not drink sodas or eat desserts much. So I maintain a healthy diet for the most part. I'm not saying a pizza or something else is out of the realm of my diet or during the week that, we might be like, hey, let's go get a pizza. But yeah, I do try to eat right. And I think all three of these guys do too, especially
I don't
watching,
know. I like
especially
sucking on a stogie, Bobby, and I like big fat cheeseburgers full of grease and French
we
fries.
do. But also, you like your pears. You were cutting one up in your show the other day. So,
No,
I know you.
I'm totally with you, and I'm just joking for the entertainment factor. Nicotine and yeah, smoking. Any form of that is not advised for your skin health, especially long term. Um, the sun can be bad for your skin. I think the sun can be good for you. It's just all about moderation. If you're spending 12 hours of the day in raw sunlight, make sure you're, using sunscreen on your exposed parts, because prolonged exposure, I think, can be detrimental to skin health again over the long term. Diet is absolutely important, and the things that we put in our body, our skin, a lot of people don't think about it like this, but it's our largest, most exposed organ. It is like very like it's what gets the most wear and tear, and um, just something that we don't think about as often as like our heart or our liver or our lungs is like things that we have to take care of. But our skin is absolutely probably one of the most important organs we have to take care of because it's so exposed compared to everything else. And its purpose and function is to be that layer of protection that gets exposed to everything. But that being said, doesn't mean we still don't have to take care of it. Vitamins are super, super important to maintaining healthy skin. I think
As well as protein.
protein.
Yeah,
You
protein
said
is, yeah. And somebody else mentioned in the chat just not too long ago, but protein is a big thing as well.
Yeah, it was
And
Derek said he eats 150 grams of protein in a day and lots of water when he was trying to heal his stage 4.
Mhm.
Mr. Wheels, you're not the first person to say that. My hands not only look super soft, but they are super soft. They're not very calloused up. But they're still really healthy. Like I don't have any skin issues on my hands ever. But my calluses are on my elbows. Those are all calloused up and a little rougher. But the irony of that is they still are kind of my more troubled spots, funnily enough. Um,
So we
I
actually did have another question earlier, probably kind of directed for you from Jay. But how do you prevent an elbow sore, especially in a power chair, from leaning? And even I'm not in a power chair leaning on them, but my elbows are definitely very like dry and calloused, and where I have gotten a lot of abrasions and things. But yeah,
be
Tommy.
very, be very mindful of them. So again, this is like something that's practiced and done over time. If you have to think about it a lot. Of like if you are sitting in a position, like I said, for more than 20 minutes, you need to, yeah, okay, I've been sitting in the same position for too long and I need to move. Make sure that your armrests and whatever you're resting on regularly is a really good material. These are foam, they're kind of squishy. Um, and that's generally like where I'm resting. But you guys see me when I talk and stuff. I move my arms all the time. I move my arms almost constantly, and I don't very often sit in the same position for a prolonged period of time, unless I'm playing video games with Mr. Wheels or something. I'm getting sucked into my video games. But even then, I try to be like very mindful and conscious that I'm sitting in a more regular position, and it just takes 30 seconds to lift your arms up and move around a little bit and to like relieve that pressure and to allow blood flow to better circulate and to rejuvenate yourself and to not end up in a bad place. Same with your butt. It's just I shift my weight all the time. You guys see it when I'm cooking, when I like leaning over and stuff. Those are small ways that I like shift my weight just to kind of like gently kind of like lift my butt cheek and like get a little bit of blood flow going. But I can very just as easily kind of tuck my elbows and lift up using my armrest to just like relieve my pressure. And I do that all the time throughout the day. You guys don't often see it when I'm doing the live because I'll do it before or after, but almost every hour, take 30 seconds and just lift your butt. And it doesn't even have to be every hour, but every couple hours. Or if you're just feeling tight, and my body is awesome in that it talks to me and it gives me signals like, I'll kind of be feeling weird. I'll be feeling a little bit of neuropathy. I'll be feeling a little tight, or my legs will be like, I'll kind of feel like they're ready for a big spasm. And that'll remind me I've been sedimentarily for too long. I've been in the same position for too long, and now I need to just move around a little bit. Just need to do some leans. I need to just lift my butt up. Just need to do a little wiggle and a little shake, and then I'm back, baby. And it doesn't take more than a minute to do. And honestly, I do it so often I don't even think about it anymore. And that is kind of what you want to train yourself to do, is to just be so mindful and conscious of it that it becomes unconscious how often you are accounting for it and be, moving around and, taking care of yourself in that way.
Yeah. Going into the chat, a couple little things. Albie, you said your problem is with the sugar drinks and fast food. Yeah. What you can do. Check out Tom's show on cooking and food, because Tom talks a lot about meal prepping and how to eat right instead of eating that fast food all the time. And pretty much the sugar drinks, just you know my saying is, don't buy it. Just don't buy it. I know when we get addicted to something, it is very hard to get off it. But and not trying to put you down, but just try not to buy it. Another thing is working out. You can work out from your own home, buying a couple wrist weights, and whatever works for you. There's a lot of things on YouTube that you can go to and work out. But if you need somebody to work out with, I coach an online fitness class with a bunch of other people, and they come in and they work out. It's called stayingdrivenlive.com. Look it up. It's $30 a month. Also, yeah, lotion is a good friend. And then asking about cushions, Derek. Yeah, I think I use a Roho. Some people use gel, some people use air. Everybody's a little bit different. Some use that honeycomb kind of cushion. Your best bet is to go into a seating clinic and get pressure mapped to find out what is the best cushion for you, if you think that's the problem.
Yeah,
I
that is the
don't
best way. But go ahead, Tom.
I don't know of too many like DMEs or like durable medical equipment companies that help get you your wheelchair and get you set up that don't do pressure mapping. Like I don't know, at least almost all the ones that I've encountered do some form of pressure mapping now, where they put something on your bottom and they sit you down on it for a few minutes just to see where your vulnerable points are and to try to take that into consideration. It's something that a lot of wheelchair companies are a lot more aware of. That being said, the responsibility always lies with you to communicate this to the person that you're getting your wheelchair and your equipment from, how important these things are. So don't be afraid to stress, how important they are, and to just ensure that you get it right the first time. And if you get something that doesn't feel right, don't just settle. Just say like, "Hey, this isn't working. I've tried it out for a week or two or whatever, however many amount of time it is," and be like, "It's not working. We got to get something else." Um,
And yeah, what kind of
the
do you guys use? And have you when you got did you get pressure map, Tom? Then with your thing, and were there any like high pressure points that you like had to address, or was it your cushion was working
Funny
good?
you should
I got a nice, sexy, round ass, Shawn. So nothing, no problems for me. No, I'm just kidding. I have been paralyzed for 27 years, so rest assured that I got a bony butt. That's just what happens when muscles atrophy over time. And I've also shrunken down a little bit. So not only are like my glutes not there to protect myself from my sharp hip bones, but my coccyx, my tailbone, is kind of pronounced as well. Meaning, like, it's just very, very on the surface of my skin. Like, there's no meat protecting me and the bone. It's just like bone on skin. I have a hybrid Roho cushion. So it's foam in the front and air in the back. Um, it's just so it's got both. The foam like supports underneath my thighs, to and it's also contoured to kind of guide my legs and keep them in the right place. And then where my butt cheeks and my tailbone rest, it's like a Roho like air cushion layer. and that's like on top of the foam. So I got a combo. It's called a Rojo Hybrid.
I use the same cushion actually, the Rojo hybrid cushion, and that is.
Sean stole it from me. I had it first. I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding.
Do you actually have the one, the actual new hybrid? Because they have two hybrid models now. It used to be like the Nexus something or whatever it was for that I used for a lot of years, but um, yeah, that's like the best thing for I think a lot of people that are trying to transfer because a regular Rojo, just with all the air cells, is like for me it was almost impossible to transfer in and out of because the cells just would sink in the front. That's why the hybrid's awesome because it has the foam, gives you that stability when you're getting in and out of the chair. Bobby, you just use a gel one though, right? Or no?
No, no, I used to a long time ago. The last and the gel one I had, I loved it. It was foam. It was a hybrid like foam and gels, so it was super light. And they stopped making it. So I'm now on a Rojo, um,
Okay.
low profile Rojo. Um, and speaking of pressure mapping, I didn't pressure map good with hardly anything. Um, Rojo did seem to be um, something that looked a little bit better on the pressure map. But like you, Tom, 35 years in the chair, I got a bony ass, and you know, uh, not much you can do, and you can throw a lot of things at it. But going to a
I can throw
good
things at your booty. All right. Don't tell me twice.
maybe. Um, but going to a good seating clinic and talking about your seating position is important, not only for your cushion and your butt and your skin, but also with your body type, with your hips. When we think about it, everything starts with our hips. When I used to look at people, I used to start at their hips, and they're like, "Why are you starting at my hips? I'm this tall," and I'm like, "I don't care. Let's start with your hips." We want to start measuring from your hips, and I want to see how you're sitting before I'm just going to put you in any old chair. So definitely starting there. So cushion is a good idea, um, and finding a good one. The quattros, like Paul just mentioned, is great because let's say you're sitting a little bit like this, and what you can do with those quattros is you can put more air in one side of the cell and a little bit less on the other, so you can balance yourself out. Another good cushion that I've heard great success. I've heard some stories too. So because everybody has a story, good and bad, I'm sure out there with types of cushions like because I've had J gels where the gel all went towards the back, and then I got good redness from my gel all in the back and not covering my whole butt. And because there's a lot of care towards a cushion, you got to watch your cushion. I don't care if it's gel, I don't care if it's foam, I don't care if it's a Rojo. Like with a Rojo, making sure that you put air back into it every so often, because just like a bicycle tire,
Oh yeah.
the air does not stay in it. It deflates over time. So you got maintenance on that. So make sure you're looking at your Rojo. Maybe pump in a couple pumps every so often.
Yeah, you should have somebody checking it. I think at least once a week, because it does lose air, and then you don't
Mhm.
lose too much to where you end up sinking to the bottom, and it's not giving you enough support.
And one thing with a Rojo, being overinflated is better than being underdeflated. So that's from a Rojo rep, is what I heard from our good friend Dean, who used to work at Rojo. He says it's always good, just like a bicycle tube, or our if you have air in your tires, you got to put in air every so often. So that's the same. It goes the same with a Rojo, but cushions aren't meant to last the same length as your chair. So make sure that you're looking at the condensancy of it, especially if you're using like a J or um, What's that company called with the honeycomb? Oh gosh.
The Supercore or something, or
Yeah, Supercore. Yeah, they break down too. They start, what happens over time is your cushion starts breaking down and it starts squishing down. So make sure that you're maintaining that cushion. And then over time, I think insurances will pay for a cushion every 3 years, if I'm not mistaken.
I think it's something like every 2 or 3. Yeah, because you can get it.
Yeah.
You don't have to wait the 5 years for for your chair. Like you can get it before your chair. I think you can get maybe like two per chair or something like that. Essentially
Mhm.
around that.
And if the current cushion, for whatever reason, is causing you issues and it's a medically necessary change that must be made, still talk to your doctor, still talk to your insurance. If it's causing you problems, even if it's not 2 or 3 years or whatever, ensure that you just make them aware how medically necessary it is to be on the correct kind of cushion and how detrimental it could be to remain on whatever's not working.
And yeah, you're right, Derek. You can put rubber bands around those cells where you need those little gaps. That can work. And the one thing about rubber bands around it, just make sure that you change those rubber bands every so often because rubber bands do break down very quickly. Um, and another good stimulate. Thank you, Paul. That's that company with the like that honeycomb shape cushion. Um, but something I encourage everybody to have is two cushions.
Yeah, that's
I mean, we all sweat, even if you're that high quad, you still sweat. You
We all
still,
shit ourselves at some point.
yeah, you still,
uh,
that happens. Uh,
something's gonna get on.
Body odor does get into those cushions, and you want to clean it out and let it dry out. But in the meantime, you can't just lay around all day and wait for that to happen. So I always recommend having two cushions in case, like somebody just mentioned it. Jay said, I had my gel burst open. Yeah. What happened if you get, and I think Paul said, a disadvantage is they get holes and they start leaking. So if you have a gel, if you have anything that can break down in a moment's notice, you got to have a backup. And I know insurances suck, but it's something that you should put money aside to get a backup cushion. You should always have two. I'm
Yeah,
just saying. Just saying.
Leah actually had bought me a second cushion out of pocket from just because she thought I needed another one, and
Yeah.
we're gonna be able to get one from insurance at the time. But yeah, she had got me one before I was able to get the one. So now we have two because I got the one through insurance as well, and I got two of the new
Yeah.
Go hybrids, and it is great because yeah, exactly. If something does happen, you don't have to sit around wait whatever. Like we just have a new cushion we can switch to, clean the other one up.
If
Not having a second cushion is like you're down to your last catheter.
That's
I
what
mean,
I've
really.
always. Yeah.
Yeah.
if you are not in a fortunate enough position to afford a several $1,000 backup cushion that's just going to spend 90% of its time sitting under your desk or in your storage, the thing that you could also just do is make sure it has a removable seat cover that you could clean or wash easily. Like that can also be what you need,
Well,
especially if you have like a more reliable like foam, like cushion that is like intended to last several years or something. As long as the cover is removable and you're able to toss it in the washing machine to clean it, once every couple weeks or whatever, or when it necessitates. I do that all the time. For the hybrid cushion that I have, I only have the one. And no way in hell do I got the money to afford a backup of this particular type of cushion. I
they're
have
actually
older.
only like $500, not several thousand, for this if you buy it brand new just through a thing. And Mobility Pros will hook you up if you wanted to call them and get one out of pocket. They won't charge you the full price. Just give you a heads up. But yeah, so that's why even these are only they're not several $1,000s. They're only about $500 to buy brand new. So
Yeah,
just
yeah, and I just am going kind of off of my experience. I think like when I got the invoice for my cushion, it was like $3,500. So maybe we're not sitting on the same one.
It's
that
there's no bro. There's no hybrid. There's no Rojo.
But it,
There's no cushion. Even the ones that are like automated that move air for you aren't in that price range. So yeah, like you can buy them from online. Just and Black Olive even said she got one a comparable cushion at her local Goodwill. So there are
and
lots of
even if
options.
you go on and you get that second rate, there's it's brown. I think it looks like online on Amazon. It looks like a Rojo. Get that as your backup if you need it for a very short time. But I'm like somebody said I have three Rojo cushion. Derek, yeah, and I just rotate them out. I'm just constantly cleaning them inside, putting one off to the dry, one off as an emergency, and one that I sit on. And luckily, Rojo low profile Rojos aren't as they're about 350, and I've gotten a hole in one, and I was, of course, it was just out of range of the warranty, but they gave me a huge discount and sent me out one like a day later, and I got it a day later.
I have older cushions that I kept from my older
Yeah,
wheelchairs.
that too.
Um, so when I got a new wheelchair, I just kept the cushion and keep it as a backup for, because they're very often they're still usable and functional once you get a new chair because you're sitting on it up until you get a new chair. And I just jacked it from my old chair and held on to the seat cushion part. So that's like kind of my backup cushion. It's not the same hybrid one that I sit on now, but like Bobby said, it can buy me a couple hours or buy me a day if I need to just swap out for something very temporarily. And while I'm on the like cushion that I'm not used to, I'm also like super aware of that and make sure to shift my weight extra and just be more mindful that like, hey, I'm not sitting on something that my body's super accustomed to. Let me be considerate of that and take necessary steps to avoid any issue as a result.
Yeah,
Yeah,
good.
and that's what I even started. I had bought like a couple extra cushions, just the honeycomb ones, because like for driving in my van, I bought like a 1 inch honeycomb one to put in my van for driving because uh, anytime I was driving over like an hour, I was getting red spots on my butt, and I started to notice like, which I never noticed earlier on in my injury and through the years, but um, as I've aged, whatever like um, now I have. So I got that a couple years ago, and then even in my rugby chair now, I actually just use a 2 inch honeycomb style one that I got for like $40 on Amazon. So you can
Hmm.
buy those for just for like extra cushions for other seats and things. But
Yeah,
yeah,
Derek.
and I'm in that one for like 3 hours, and I have never had any red spots or anything
Oh,
after
that's
the
good.
rugby practices or anything. So
Derek. Yeah, it is difficult to patch a Rojo. Um, yeah, toss it, but also call the company. They will give you a big discount to buy a replacement.
and it's actually just like patching a tire. If you can patch a bike tire, they're pretty like they come with patch kits that are made by Rojo, and then
Yeah, but like Derek said, it's difficult sometimes in
it's,
some of those areas.
if it gets like in the crack or the crevice, like right where the thing comes
Yeah,
out, those ones are hard to patch. But if it's up on the more flat spot, yeah, you can typically get it. Or maybe you can maybe take it to a custom bike shop that can that does patches and can
yeah.
possibly help you get it.
Well, and back in the 90s, early 90s, I had a friend who was a chain smoker. He was always smoking, and which was crazy. His ashes always fell between his legs, and what does that do? It burned the hole in his cushion all the freaking time. So it was just crazy.
I've got a couple of cherry burns on my cushion.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So you got to be
Yeah,
careful.
the
Smoke
first time
around.
my mom found out I smoked, she like saw a little hole in my shorts from like a cherry that had fallen onto my pants. She was like, "I know what that's from." She's like, "Don't even try to deny it." I'm like, "I'm sorry. I'm sorry."
Yeah. Well, I mean, and this was a great discussion on cushions, but let's talk about when you get a pressure sore. What should you do?
Put your head between your legs and kiss your ass goodbye.
Probably, maybe.
Uh,
um, this is a big subject because, you know, I've been to a couple different wound clinics, and I always go to a wound clinic whenever I see something that just doesn't look right. And every time I've done that in the past, I've always gotten, oh my gosh, what are you doing here? Because this thing looks like nothing, and I'm like, but I just want to make sure that's what it is because I don't want to risk it. And he goes, I just wish that half of our patients who waited too long would have listened to that, listen to their gut, and they said, that's a good thing. We don't mind you seeing you. And we're just glad to say to you, it's nothing, just, watch it a little bit more, stay off it a little bit, and you'll be good to go.
yeah, no, that's definitely
Too many people let it go too long. And, Mickey, and I, love to you, if you want to chime in on that. I know you had something brewing and you were trying to do a huge weekend of Abilities Expo or not Abilities Expo. I think it was the Rolettes thing and try to attend a fundraiser in the same weekend. So, we got to listen to our bodies and we got to know when it's time to get off it and stay off it for a few days to watch it. Our good friend of Rolling Over the Hill, Robert Soto, uh, he's gone through the whole gamut of having, uh, a flap surgery in the past where he had to get a colostomy and all that. And, a month ago, he discovered a red spot where he just decided to say, heck with everything. I got to be off my butt for a week. And after a week, he was fine.
yeah. That's what if you
Uh,
catch them soon enough and you can get off of it and do that. That's honestly the best way I think to prevent. Go ahead, Tom. Sorry.
Shout out Tony. Thanks for contributing so much to the conversation today. He just had some really good comments, and I want to say thank you. Since you have to dip off, um, the name of the game once you have a wound, the whole idea of like healing from a wound is rebuilding your tissue, and the only way you can do that is a layer at a time. The deeper that a wound is, the longer it's going to take. And to be like super honest, like stage 3, stage 4 wound, um, you might never be the same after that because the tissue, the scar tissue that rebuilds, is not the same as the tissue that was there before. That was a part of like your original, structure, and it's going to be weaker and it's going to be a more vulnerable point to getting sores in the future. So the way that I think about it, the way that I've had this described to me from wound care specialists is you need to like provide scaffolding for the cells and for this tissue to kind of regrow and for the layers to like grow on top of each other over and over and over and over again. The During that process you're exposed to a lot of things. It's like an open wound and you're exposed to all the nastiness that is the outside world and the bacteria that inhabits it. And during that time you just have to ensure cleanliness. You have to make sure that that wound stays clean and healthy and not get infected, because that's going to set you back and it could lead to sepsis and really really more serious stuff. um, there are some things that are very commonly used to help kind of provide that scaffolding, for like your tissue to, rebuild and grow and get back to, its normal integrity. Um, there's special bandages that wound care doctors and nurses will know to give you. There's things like manuka honey, which is like been around for a long time, but is being recommended a lot more to people, especially with like maybe not like a stage 3 or 4 wound that requires like, you know vacuum suction and stuff, but a more regular wound, or less intense, severe wound. The Manuka honey I know is really great at one, preventing infection, but providing some scaffolding for your body to start to rebuild on top of. Um, Bobby and Shawn, are you aware of anything specific, like certain products and stuff that can help support your wound once you've acquired one, to keep them healthy and happy and promote better
Um,
tissue?
I,
you can go online and you can look up some lotions that have some good stuff to help protect that area, keep it nice and healthy in the skin area after you've had something like that. But going back to the top, protein, protein, protein is the best way to help your skin integrity. Uh, if you're asking about, what's the best way, you put out some products that you can try. I don't. I would advise nobody to just go out and buy, any honey for wound care, or to go on Amazon and do a derm, thinking like, oh, my buddy did do a derm, I'm going to put a do a derm pat. No, 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 no. Go see a wound care specialist
yeah,
before you put anything on there, because there's so many different types of wounds that you should have the experts look at it and evaluate it and then tell you what to put on it. Most likely it's going to be something that you just can't get at Amazon.
yeah, and
Yep.
I mean a lot of that stuff like Tom was mentioning. I've heard all those the Manuka honey and all those things that
Yep, they're
I've heard a lot
great.
of good things from people that have said that those things help. And I do know that just the main thing for a lot of people is mainly just keeping it clean and drained, because the fluid that there is going to be fluid that comes off of it. So you want to have something that's going to draw that away from the wound and out. I know that's one of the things. So it doesn't, lots of different issues. So like Bobby said, talk to a skincare specialist,
Mm-hmm.
a wound care specialist that can really help you know kind of what is the best plan of action for your
Yeah.
wound.
We
And
call that drainage wound juice. I'm just kidding.
Just
yes,
you would save it
gross.
in a jar.
But Leon and I think Derek said it, I've been bedridden because of a wound before too, for 6 months, and it is not fun. Um, just I'll tell everybody straight. I have a hole in my ass that's been there for 3.5 years, and it's not the butthole that you're thinking about. It is a open hole that I cannot get to heal. It's not a pressure sore. I had an abscess that we surgically removed the abscess. It closed up almost to a pinpoint. But when I went in for a checkup, they discovered that I might have osteomyelitis. So they opened me up again, got down to the bone and discovered, no, I don't have osteomyelitis. We're fine. Close it up like they did before, but this time it didn't close. So I have what's called a tunnel that is 3 centimeters deep, and for whatever reason, I cannot get it to close. I stayed off it for 7, 8 months, would not close, and finally my doctor said, "Go live your life. If it gets worse, we will, tell you to get off it. If it stays the same or gets better, then you're doing fine." Because what we've noticed with your wound, it is the cleanest looking wound I've ever seen, coming through this clinic. And, on top of it, I still go every 3 weeks to a wound, the wound clinic, to the doctor, and she evaluates it. She makes sure everything's looking good. I don't mess around with it. I don't skip my appointments. Sometimes we might switch up the type of medicine we're doing. And um, yeah, it's not fun. It's not fun to have a bandage on my ass, to take care of my ass each and every day. Just no pun intended, but it is a pain in the ass to deal with. But luckily, it's not that normal pressure sore. luckily something I can still do. It's not, something that, you know, Mickey's going through where it was a pressure sore. So, yeah, but I'm still going through hell. I hate it every day. Still got to make sure that it's clean. I still have to make sure that it's healthy. I, got to watch for odor, got to watch my diet, got to watch this, everything I do. And everybody knows I talk about how active and how much working out I do. Um, so I just have to be ultra sensitive.
You gotta
And
stop T Bizzle from always trying to stick his finger in it. I'm just kidding.
come on, man, is that what's happening?
Um, that's where all your problems are coming from. I'm sorry. I'll stop, Bobby. Um, if your wound does require something like a flap surgery, where they got to pull some tissue over to seal it off, or whether you end up just living with, like a dimple, like Olivia said, or something more severe, like a tunnel, like Bobby said, it's not the end of the world. Bobby's still one of the most active people I know, in spite of that. And, um, you know, it, there are a few things I've heard described like as more depressing and debilitating as like a wound recovery. Being, on bed rest for months at a time, long, long, long periods of time and stuff. There are a few things more demoralizing than that. Um, you know, we just have to do what we have to do sometimes to ensure our longevity and like our long-term health, and we just have to be mindful and considerate of like long-term recovery. The And Jay said it earlier, like this conversation scaring me, but in a good way, because it's making me want to be more vigilant, and that's what we got to be all the freaking time. If you are just even worried about a pressure sore, do something to alleviate that worry and to ensure that your body is comfortable, because it is just not worth the risk. Know and understand your body. Be very aware of what's going on, and like little signals that you get that something might not be right, and don't ignore them. Address them, because by the if you do decide to ignore them, by the time you get to it, it might be too late, and it could cost you 6 months. It could cost you a year or more, and surgery, and long, long, long recovery, and it's just not worth the risk.
No, you're right.
Period.
And the chat's going off, and Chris just said it too. I went 19 years without having skin issues, and then he had two back to back that ended up having two flap surgeries. 19 years. David Washington said that he had a big one that he was in nursing care, and I know David Washington's been injured for a while as well. Our skin doesn't hold the same way as we get older. And you probably, if for my fans out there that listens to Rolling Over the Hill, we talk about it. Our skins become, as Robert Soto said it last week, I think it was, my skin's old and flabby now, and thin. I got one of those old man asses now. And if you ever seen one of those in the movies, it doesn't look very pretty, and it looks very thin. So the older we get, hate to scare you, and I know what you're talking about, Chris, because I can't feel my butt, but my butt is hurting right now. The more we talk about this subject, getting phantom pain, and it feels like I'm sitting on a brick right now. But yeah, our skin just gets thinner and thinner over time. And going back to the top with Albie, that's why it's good to, keep on a somewhat healthy diet. Eat that protein.
And Albie, he was hanging out with us last week in the cooking show that I do on Wednesdays, and we
Mm-hmm.
were talking about some of this stuff. And hopefully, I was able to disseminate some good information. I'm really glad to see you back, Albie, because the way that you do stay healthy and get healthy long term is just to continue to have conversations about this kind of stuff, and that's how it stays like present in your mind, and you can take meaningful action, and work towards like positive progress is by thinking about it and by talking about it, and it's just been kind of a constant thing in your life. um i
Mm-hmm.
I'm not trying to like toot my own horn or anything. I just want to say that it is possible to remain vigilant and to avoid anything serious. I'm going to knock on some wood. I'm going to knock on anything that I can. I have, for the last 27 years that I've been paralyzed, never had a serious pressure sore that required a wound nurse or required medical treatment or hospital care or anything. I've had minor superficial ones all over my body, on my feet, on my booty, and on my elbows, but I've always been able to address it. And within just a few weeks, they were healed. My skin integrity was maintained, and I'm good to go. And the only reason I've been that way is, for one, my mom, she scared the shit out of me when I was younger, just making me terrified of the cost of getting a pressure wound and what it might mean to my social life and, my life and everything. She put the fear of wounds into my brain from day one because she knew how dangerous they are and how important it was to instill that knowledge and fear into my head. So not only did I have the benefit of her care for a long time while I was growing up, for the first 15, 16 years of my life, for the last 11 that I've been on my own, I have been able to maintain that vigilance. And while I've had a couple of things that have certainly scared me, I also had the like the fear and the knowledge knowing that I had to treat it and take care of it right now. I had to cancel what I was doing that day and make sure to stay in bed and, make sure I had my nurse come over and assess me. And, we had like an active plan for treatment and, was able to figure it out. It is possible. It is possible to avoid major pressure wounds and skin issues. It just is hard and it's a lot of work. So, just understand that and know that the work and the time to prevent this stuff is well worth it compared to, ending up stuck with something. And
All
I
right, now,
know, Dave,
Tom, enough. David said, don't jinx yourself talking.
well, it's something that I have to be
No, I know,
mindful
I'm
of,
kidding.
in that, like, as I age, I know it's only going to get harder. Like, I know
Yeah.
it's only going to get more difficult.
Oh,
And in fact, I've felt that and lived that and experienced it, how when I transfer, the shearing, and the friction can be too much. And now I know what to avoid. And now I know how to not, end up in a bad situation, like, but I do have that knowledge too. But I think it's to my benefit that I have such a good understanding of the risks to best avoid it in the future. The only way you can plan to avoid things like this is to understand, the risks and the reality of the situation, so you can have a plan of action to avoid it.
And speaking of rolling over the hill when we age, is not only that our skin is getting weaker, but what is also happening, like you said, Tom, our transfers become sloppy in a way. We might not lift as hard. And Mickey, correct me if I'm wrong. I think you said one of your little theories is your butt was rubbing on your tire a little bit more each time you were trying to transfer. And I've noticed it with me, like, I'm in the best shape of my life right now at 53 years old. The best shape. I'm training every day. Right now, since January 1st, I have 73 miles of pushing under my belt. I have, just training for this competition in 2 weeks. And I transfer and they suck. It's telling my buddy Paul, like, why is I'm healthy, I'm strong and everything, but my transfers are getting sloppy. They're, where I'm just like, oh, it just seemed like the hardest thing I just did, and half of it is working from home and I'm not doing the transfers in and out of my car like I used to, but man, and so I think about when I transfer that, it's rubbing it and hitting areas where I used to never hit. So I got to be careful of those kind of things. And I think in aging, we have to be mindful of that.
Yeah, I think the two most important times is like the first 2 years of your injury while you're learning and figuring out your new body, I think is when you're most vulnerable. And then 20 years into your injury after you've aged and your body has had some time to, the skin has had some time to weaken a little bit. Um, those are, but you need to maintain vigilance all the time. But I would argue that, very early in your injury and very late in your injury is maybe when you're a little bit more at risk, depending on when you're injured and stuff. But all of this is so nuanced and it's all so individual. So make sure you have a good understanding of yourself, and that you have medical professionals in your life that you can talk to and feel confident with the reassurance and the information that they can give you. One point that I did want to make that Derek pointed out earlier, and what really kind of helped instill into my brain how critical and how important it is. A pressure wound is what killed Superman. A pressure wound is what killed Christopher Reeves. Kind of like one of the staples of our community, one of the pillars of our spinal cord injury community. That's what ended up killing him. And he had access to probably the best care, full time care in the world. And it still got him. That's just how serious this stuff is that we're talking about. And
Yeah. And Chris mentioned real quick before we wrap up here that even being vigilant, some things happen. Something happens. You can get a scrape. You can get something like, little things that can happen. So just be careful. Make sure you have somebody that can kind of check out your butt if you can't if you can't see, any wound, any like sores, red marks, anything like that. Make sure you do have somebody kind of trying to check that out. And um,
Have your if you don't trust your healthcare worker who's helping you out, you know, have your phone is so easy now to take a picture of your butt, look at it, delete it, make sure you delete it. Um,
you only keep
that
them on your phone, Bobby. I mean, just
I do not keep my picture. No, I
I
know,
keep all of Bobby's pictures on my phone, so don't worry about it, Bobby.
I
Um,
know you do. I've
Tom has
seen
the
it.
cloud uplink, so every time you take those pictures, it's just going
It's
bing to his phone.
it's, for, it's for posterity, no pun intended. Uh,
All right, guys,
uh,
we got to start to wrap up the show, but I think like I'm planning to do at the end of the month for the final week, we are going to do more of like the open Q&A hangout ones. So this is again one of those topics that probably can't be talked about enough in our community, and we will have to
um,
recap. So if you have any questions,
I
come
just
back.
say this.
Yeah.
Outside of taking pictures, I keep like a mirror of my little like bed box where I have like all my supplies and stuff. It's just like a handheld mirror that I can like flip over and like prop up so that like I can use the mirror to look at my own bottom. Because I don't have care every day, but on the days that I do have my care, I remind my caregivers every time, and I will consciously like say it out loud, be like, "Can you check my butt and make sure my skin's looking okay? Like, just look over everything." And they verbally confirm that everything looks good. And if anything doesn't look good, we'll take a picture of it and make a note of it and, track its progress. So, just stay vigilant, people. That's all you got to do.
and Leon said, "There's way too many pictures on my ass, probably on his phone," which is so funny because as I told you, I do have this open wound on my bottom. And so one of the benefits I get is home health. And if anybody's been on home health, it is I love it. They come to my house to do my blood work. They come to my house, to cut my nails. They come to my house and they do all my orders, my supplies. They over order everything, so I've been loving it, but a nurse has to come in and look at it once a month, and she takes a picture of it every month, every week. And I'm just like, so your kids aren't looking at you, She goes, "Oh, your butt is the least of my worries. It's all the other pictures I get nervous about." I'm like, I can only imagine what's on your phone.
Uh, I know that is funny. She has a bunch of probably random butts on there.
Oh man.
Folders, but yeah, you guys, real quick, wanted to shout out in the chat. Chris mentioned the expo real quick. This weekend is the Abilities Expo, so make sure if you guys are in the LA area, come out this Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. We will be at the LA Convention Center. Come hang out, and we'll also be doing live streams. So with Tom doing his live stream tomorrow, which I will just also post up and shout out, we'll have live streams the next 6 days straight. So tune in, check it out. tomorrow Tom will be on doing some cooking and life skills. So check him out this Wednesday, and then on Thursday we actually got rolling with the Golden Oldies. Julianne will be setting up at the Abilities Expo and doing some stuff. So I think they're going to show some behind the scenes stuff and things like that on Thursday, and talk about some of their experiences and things like that they've had in the past. So make sure to check that out. And then, like I said, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, we'll be doing live streams from the expo. So tune in, or if you're there, come by, hang out, check out. You can even pop on the live stream and say hi. So make sure to come visit. And sorry to in the chat, Mickey, I know you're not going to probably be able to make it, or miss you. Hope you're doing well. And Sarab in the chat earlier too also wanted to shout out. I think he's also not having very good health issues and not going to be able to make it either. But shout out to everybody out there. Hope to see you guys there. And yeah, anything else for this week? And then next week we'll be back again on the regular Tuesday.
I'm saying we somehow to create a show on Monday, just so we have a perfect week.
Yeah, eventually. Well, the next
Like,
week.
not after the.
Hey,
not after the
you guys want an
expo.
extra show on Monday? Just tell me. I'll hop on and do
All
something.
right, you and I, Tom, come join us on Monday. Tom and I will put them together.
Hey, if
I
you
think
guys,
it'd be fun, a little Bobby Tom freestyle show.
you guys
I
want
say
to make it 7 straight days, go for it. Pop on
Let's
there.
go. Let's go.
Let me
Let's go
know.
for
I'll
that
set up
perfect
a
week.
link.
We'll
So yeah,
we'll
check
get
that out.
Paul on, and we'll do a perfect week.
And yeah, should be.
And just in case you didn't miss it, I am going to be live tomorrow. Should be back at our normal time, 3:30 for tomorrow. If anything changes,
What's
what do we
cooking?
have?
What's
What do we
cooking?
have? And I was thinking about doing cookies and cocktails. So maybe like baking some cookies from scratch and making up a little gin and tonic, just to do some different stuff than what we've been doing. But
Oh,
that's maybe TBD.
dang.
I still might mix it up. Just depends on my grocery shopping tomorrow and how everything lays out. But that was kind of my idea for this week. We'll see if I can
Oh, that
pull
would be
through. But
great.
regardless of what we do, it'll be informative, it'll be fun, and it'll be sure to make you hungry. So come and hang out with us.
I have to miss it. Dang it! I have something up tomorrow I have to do, but dang.
Okay.
Have fun
Hey,
with that.
the beauty of YouTube and Live to Roll is the VOD's going to be available for anybody to watch if you don't catch the live. And we've been getting some good numbers on those videos. So if you don't catch the live, don't worry. You can always check it out at a later point.
Yep, exactly. Make sure to come back, watch anytime. So thank you guys all. We appreciate you guys hanging out, watching.
Yeah, I love it, Chris. We're going to call it Bottoms Up. There you go. We're just going to be talking out of our ass.
That sounds pretty accurate. I think that sounds pretty good. Live to Roll Bottoms Up Mondays. All right.
There you go.
I'll have to start creating a link and make some.
I might have something to say about the title. We might have to workshop that, but yeah.
I don't know. I like that title. Bottoms Up.
All right, you guys. Thanks again for tuning in and watching. We appreciate you guys. We'll see you. Oh, actually, hold on. I forgot one of our very important things. Shout out to our sponsors.
Oh yeah, we don't.
Almost forgot to.
Yeah, we got to make sure we pay the bills.
And they will also be at the Abilities Expo, so please come check out, visit them as well. But Mobility Professionals is a local DME here in Southern California. So if you need any durable medical equipment, like a wheelchair, standing frame, a commode, walker, anything like that, give them a call. They can get you hooked up through insurance and take care of everything. And then Urology Professionals is their sister company, and they are nationwide. So anywhere in the country, if you need urological supplies, you need your catheters, they will ship them directly to your doorstep. So make sure to hit them up and tell them Live to Roll sent you. We appreciate it, and we appreciate our sponsors. Thank you guys. And thank you everybody that's watching. Oops. All right, we'll see you guys. Tom, we'll see you guys tomorrow. We'll see you guys in the chat and stuff. And see you guys next week. Live to Roll, everybody.
Live to Roll.
Live to Roll.